on December the 9th of 2024, incarcerated individual Robert Brooks was transferred to the custody of corrections officers at the Marcy Correctional Facility. And they took custody of him at approximately 9:07 p.m. that evening. At approximately 9:40 that evening, he was clinically dead, having suffered massive brain trauma from multiple beatings, as well as choking on his own blood. Having been assigned as special prosecutor judge, and you as a former homicide prosecutor understand the mentality, I wanted to get to the why. What did Robert do to provoke this? Not that it could possibly be in any way justified by a provocation, but there had to be a reason. He had to have resisted. He had to have been assaultive. Maybe he spit at one of the officers. And 8 months later, and hundreds of investigative hours later, I can answer that question as to what Robert Brooks did to provoke his death. Absolutely nothing. This was a simple welcome to Marcy. I watched that tape, Judge, that was released to the public. I'm a prosecutor for 45 years. I have difficulty watching that tape. I really do. A helpless, shackled man being beaten, and a beating that this defendant actively and willingly participated in. I often wonder, had those tapes not been in existence, how much larger the fabrications would have been, how much wilder the stories would have been. I mean, this defendant even told hospital personnel who were trying to save Robert's life that he fell and hit his head. How serendipitous it was that those tapes had been discovered to bring us the truth of what happened. I remember interviewing a cooperating witness in this case early on about the falsity of the reports and the lies that were told. And I asked him, I said, when did you all get together to agree and conspire to falsify your reports? And he looked at me with a puzzled look on his face, and he said, agree? No, we didn't need to agree. That's just what we do. And that told me all I needed to know about this case. To personalize this tragedy, Your Honor, I have the privilege of presenting to you for his victim impact statement one of the sons of Robert Brooks, who has been denied the opportunity to reunite with his dad. Ironically, it would have been just over a year from now when his dad would have been a free man. So please, with your permission, Your Honor, I'd like to introduce Robert Brooks Jr. to speak to the court on sentencing.
My name is Robert Brooks Jr. Last December, I watched as you, Mr. Walrath, and your fellow correctional officers beat my father. Robert Brooks to death on camera. I'm here to give an impact statement as though I can ever truly describe to you the impact your actions have had on me and my family. You took my father, you took my son's grandfather, you took my grandparents' son, you took my uncle's brother, and the list goes on. Did it ever occur to you that my father was human, with a family who loved him? In that video, I see you and your fellow officers treating him as his life holds no value at all, as if you're entitled to brutalize him for sport. I want you to imagine for a moment what it feels like to see someone you love treated that way. I want you to imagine watching someone beating your own father helpless, restrained, bloody. I want you to imagine watching your own father be hit with the 50 boot or being dragged by his neck. I want you to imagine watching all of this happen to your own father and you being total powerless to stop it. I will never get these images out my head. They invade my consciousness without warning, flooding me with the worst feelings imaginable. They will haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life. I am not okay, and I never will be. My father had struggles in his life, but was using his prison time to work on himself. He studied American Sign Language, deepened his faith with God, and maintained a healthy relationship with me and the family. He was scheduled to be released July 23, 2026, and he was hopeful for his future, and his family was eagerly waiting his homecoming. You took that away from us. Although I can never forgive you, I respect that you admitted what you did and accepted responsibility, and I hope that others have the courage to do the same. That goes beyond what happens in any courtroom. Anyone who watched this video can see that your actions did not occur in a vacuum. You were part of a system that dehumanized my father. Every person in authority who allows a system of violence and abuse to exist and continue must also take responsibility. Mr. Walrath, you are no longer acting within the system. Now, your life is at the mercy of it. And I pray for your family who's going to have to spend the next 15 years worrying about you, just like all New Yorkers with incarcerated loved ones must do. No one should ever have to go through what my father and family endured. Thank you for hearing me out.
And it is hereby sentenced as follows. As to the conviction for manslaughter in the first degree, the defendant is hereby sentenced to a determinate sentence of 15 years in state prison, that is along with 5 years of post-release supervision. Further, there is imposed a mandatory surcharge, crime victim DNA fees, which will total $375. The defendant is committed for the term of his sentence.